what was really special was I said to my mum, hey, I wanna set up my own company. And then she didn't say go do it, well done, or this is really good. She went upstairs, and she doesn't have much, right? She came down and she gave me an envelope of £5,000 and said, like, here. And I was like, that really choked me up, because I was like, wow, like, she believes in me so much. It's like, I want to invest in you. That was like more powerful than any words.
Welcome to Your Mind, Your Business, the podcast that dives into the real grit of entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Carina McLeod, entrepreneur and fitness fanatic. And today we have a special guest, George Meressa from Clear Ads. Welcome, George.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So before we get started, I always like to find out and share with our audience a bit about who you are and where you're at, before I then hit rewind and we start really delving into your entrepreneurial journey. So do you want to share with the audience a bit about where you're at right now?
Yeah, sounds good. So I own an ad agency based in London, but we work mostly with US brands, and we help them through Amazon advertising. So we have a team of, I think, about 15 here in the UK, a few dotted around Asia, Africa, and North America too.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. And so you've got your team of 15 in the UK, and as you say, dotted around. But I guess that's taken some time to get to where you're at, and it probably didn't come easy. So if we hit rewind, I'm really keen to understand a bit more about your journey, because of course I know you where you're at now, and I don't actually know sort of how you got there. So do you want to go as far back as you can remember before you, when you became an entrepreneur?
I think I've had the flair like from a very young age. So there was a moment when I bought like Fanta Fruit Twists. Right, this is when Fanta Fruit Twists first came out, and I would buy them for about 50p, and then I figured out that I could sell them for £1 after PE, right? Because everyone was really thirsty and wanted Fanta Fruit Twists. So then I kind of was able to make quite a bit of money doing that. And in the school at the time, they banned me from doing that, which is annoying. And then I started selling Dragon Ball Z pictures, right? So people love Dragon Ball Z at the time, so kind of anime. And then I would print out the pictures in the library and then take it to school and then sell them at school. So that was like my first taste of like entrepreneurship, and I loved it. So then that kind of sowed the seed for like doing business at university. So I did business at university, and I did business management. So it was quite varied and wide. So I was doing business law, business marketing, and branding. And then my favorite module was entrepreneurship, right? And it was incredible because they said, right, find a product to sell, right? Whatever product you want, right? And sell it, but you have to present on it as well, right? And that wasn't work for me. Right, I have all the modules. That was not work. I was like, this is so much fun. So we found these USB sticks, right? So this is just when the floppy disks were going out. USB sticks were in 2 gig of memory. You can put one of these bad boys at the time, right? So then I went to the library and I was like, this is an audience that's going to be right for this product. So I'd go around the library and go, hey, how are you going to transfer that information from this computer to the computer you got at home? You need a floppy. You need a USB disk. So then we sold quite a lot. I just loved it. So that's kind of where it started.
Oh, awesome! So did you start selling those USB sticks at university as well? Yeah. So the project that you were given, the assignment, ended up translating into you.
Yeah, because we effectively presented as well, saying how many did we sell, what conditions did we find, and then the market moved fast because by the start of the new year, they had USB sticks with greater memory and cheaper as well. So then it kind of killed us. But the whole thing was so much fun. So I really enjoyed it. And then they could tell I was passionate about it because I went off the script when I was presenting just to talk about kind of how the idea come about and stuff. It was called Save More Solutions.
Save More Solutions.
Thinking back at it. Oh, it was cringe.
Did you have a logo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a swirly logo, it was. And I remember tonight, if he's watching this, like I did it with him, and we come put it together.
I love that though. I love the fact that it started all the way down to when you were at school and you just had that natural flair. The fact that you obviously can see those opportunities by selling the twist Fanta and the pictures and everything. And so I guess that's just constantly grown. Like, so you've gone to university, you were selling USB sticks at uni. Where did that then take you once you finished uni?
Well, it actually continued whilst I was at uni. So this is during the financial crisis, 2008, and so people probably needed to save more money. So I spoke to two friends that were studying, and he had some development. They were able to they're the developers, and they were able to help me kind of create this website where I could help people save money, right? It's a budgeting tool, right? This is before money saving experts. And I was like, right, I'm going to build this tool. So then whilst everyone was at uni, I worked like 5 to 9 after uni every day. And then we had a reading week. It was like 9 to 9. Saturday, Sunday was like 10 to 7 at this like call center. So I worked with my friends. So my friends, they went and bought Alfa Romeo GT sport cars, right? And then I just literally just plowed through, and I just spent all the money making the website, getting the website done, and speaking to a web designer and getting it all done. And I did it so wrong, right? So like the guy was like, create a brief, and I was like, I created a brief, but I didn't think it through properly. And then it's supposed to cost me 1,500, but then because I kept adding stuff to it, it cost about 2,800 at the end of it. And that's when I learned, okay, you really have to think carefully about what it is you want it to do, whatever you want designed, what it is you want it to do from all angles. So I had that done, and then someone called me looking to buy it from America on a private number, and then they offered me $3,000, and I was like negotiating up to 10,000, and I was so excited, right? But then they said, okay, yeah, we'll reach out, but I never got their details.
Oh no!
Never got their details, and they never called me back.
Oh wow!
So I had an offer for it, but then it just never happened. But anyway, it's this idea of building something from nothing, like using your imagination, and just it comes to be, and just the idea that someone even was interested in buying it, just must have found us online.
Yeah,
for me it was fascinating.
It shows you're onto something though, doesn't it? If all of a sudden somebody wants to have a piece of that as well. So you built the website. So what happened then?
Well, this is nothing. Didn't do anything. It was 2,800 down in the bin, from what people think, right? But actually, I knew exactly who to go to get a website made, and I knew like how to kind of articulate myself when like wanting something done, and that was the person I got my first website with the agency done. So it worked out well in the end.
It's almost like the learning though, isn't it? Because it's like the hands-on learning. Like you go to university and you sit there and you're learning all the theory, but until you actually do it, you don't really know the real way.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so then that's when you, I guess, created, was it Clear Ads straight away, or was there a step before that?
Yeah, so I worked for my friend's company, Simon, right? So he had a Google Ads company. Now, this is the crazy thing people probably don't know. So Google Ads, at that time, they didn't have a customer support team, right? They would pay agencies 10% of all the ad spend in their kind of what was called a My Client Center, right? So Sai was getting like these massive wads of cash every quarter when he started his business, right? So he was laughing, and he's a phenomenal sales guy, right? And I basically joined him. Like he was like, George, come and join the company. I want you to come in sales, because he knew I was working at a support center. He said, come and join the company. And I was like, okay, just let me finish uni. I've got like 3 weeks left. So I finished uni, went in. So I went to Ethiopia with my mum for like 8 days, and then came back, went straight in, started working with Sai, and he put me on the sales call. I was horrible at the call. Like I remember the first call you made is like, right, to pick up the call and say, hey, how's your Google AdWords going? And then it's like I called the guy and I went, hi, my name's George. What's your name? And he went, oh, it's Wayne. He's like, how's your? And then before I even said, how's your Google Ads going? I froze, and then I just hung up. And then Sai was like, why did you do that? And I was like, I don't know. And then the phone rang. And then I was like, hello? And he goes, is that George? I was like, yeah. And he goes, why do you hang up? And I was like, I don't know. And then he hung up on me. I was like, I am horrible at this. So then I spent a month of torture doing that.
Yeah.
And then he had some real cowboys working with him at the time, right, doing sales. And they would like, did you know flowers is the most searched thing on Google today? And you sell flowers. So, we want to, that's the kind of pitch they would do, right? I just couldn't do that. And then they asked him to become an account manager. And that was for me the dream, right? So there's a guy called Nick, right? He would walk in, speak to no one, have his headphones in with a coffee, sit down, drink, and just work away until lunchtime. And at lunchtime, we would all go out to eat, and he would talk to us. And I was like, that is why, that's my goal, right? This is what I want, right? So then when it came to lunchtime, so when it came to the end of the month, I said, Si, is there any chance I could be an account manager instead of sales? And he went, yeah. And I was like, okay, at that moment, I knew my life had changed, right? Like, just, I knew, Google ads and where that was going. It was just like incredible. So like, I got into that, and then people kept coming and going, and I stuck around. And because I stuck around, I eventually ended up getting the bigger accounts. Now at the time, Si didn't make me sign a contract, so I was kind of, which was quite odd. But I was like, right, okay, I didn't sign a contract, so I could effectively set up my own company. So what was really special was I said to my mum, hey, I wanna set up my own company. And then she didn't say, go do it, well done, or, this is really good. She went upstairs, and she doesn't have much, right? She came down and she gave me an envelope of £5,000 and said, like, here. And I was like, that really choked me up, because I was like, wow, like, she believes in me so much. It's like, I want to invest in you. That was like more powerful than any word. So, and my mum left Saudi Arabia to come here for a better life for me and my sister, right? So I was like, okay, there's like this fire in my belly to kind of make sure that I do right by that. So then I set up the company, set it as dormant for now, that nothing happened. And then the way it happened is I bought some supplements online, and they came battered, right? And I just emailed the company and said, hey, these are like horrible, like, they're so bad, this is so bad. And the CEO, he emailed me back and said, hey, really sorry to hear that. If you want to chat about this, just here's my mobile. So I called his mobile, I told him, and we got on so well. And I asked him one question at the end, which is, how's your Google Ads going? And he went, oh, George, it's horrible, really bad. And I said, look, I can do an audit for you if you want. Just have a look here. Because by that point, I know accounts like inside out. So I did the audit, and then I showed like low-hanging fruit and loads of potential. So he's like, fine. So then he paid me like 500 quid for the first month, and then just for a 1 month trial. And then we were able to save him about £12,000 or something like that, and get him an extra 30,000 in sales for that first month. And he's like, right, this is a no-brainer. So he signed up. So that's how I got my first client. And I was still working with Si, and I was working for a charity part-time as well, like doing like Christian youth work stuff. So by that point I had the free, but then something I had to give. And then this chap recommended someone else to me. And then kind of burnt out. And then at that point, Simon said he's going to move his company. He moved the company to Brighton, and he needs me in more every week. And I lived in London, so I said, I can't do it. So I kind of then ended that relationship. But we still get on good terms. I mean, I'm still friends with Simon now. But that's when I started the company. And at that point, I mean, it was like just under £1,000 a month, right? And I got all my friends in the UK making, 30 to 40,000 a year salary, like working in London straight after university. And I'm like having to go back to my mum's, get food or cook at home, like just to kind of keep going, really. But I was like, I wanted to give this a go.
I love that. There's so much to unpack there. First of all, the fact that you went into that role doing sales, and I smile because I'm no good at sales, because I just say it how it is.
Yeah.
And the fact that you stuck with it, and then you knew where you wanted to get to, and you went into account management, and then you kind of stuck with it to get the bigger accounts, because that takes real grit as well. Because you could just turn around and go, oh no, I'm no good at this, I'll go and find something else. But it was kind of like you kind of knew, I don't know if that was your overall goal subconsciously, to kind of bear with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think one thing I noticed now with a lot of people is they get bored easy, right? And it's like you really have to stick at something for a little while before you get anywhere. And it's like if they're always moving around, it's like what are you going to be known for? What's your craft? Like I'm in this now 14 years, like with my company, and now I want to go another 20 years, right? And then that's when people think of me, I want them to think of like advertising and Amazon advertising in particular. So
yeah. And that's like, as you say, like even if sales wasn't for you, it then paid off again later on when you spoke with someone, because when you run a business, you need to understand all functions as well.
Yeah, and I think one of the big learning things that I learned, kind of points that I learned there is just, I mean, like, do what you say you're gonna do,
Mm.
like, and just like show up on time, right? Like, take ownership of accounts. That is literally it, right? I did that, and I was like, okay, society trusted me. I was like, right, okay, he's leaving. Which accounts of his do you want? I was like, right, I want these 5, and then the
Mm.
rest you can give to someone else. So it's like I think there's some very straightforward ways you can get leverage because there's so many people who just don't do that.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I love that part about your mum. It kind of made me sort of feel quite emotional when you told me the fact that your mum,
Yeah.
it was almost like had it there for you
Yeah.
and believed in you.
Yeah.
And as you say, that gave you that fire. And I guess that's the part, right? I'm keen to understand, like, that then journey of potential setbacks and challenges, right? So you've got this fire in your belly, you know that
Yeah.
you're being backed, but I'm guessing you've hit some walls along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so when I hired my first person, Megan, she was wonderful, and then we hired her, and then business started declining, and it was getting worse, and then she knew it was getting worse, and then I actually set up a paint and decorating company to make sure that I have enough to pay me and her, right? And so I was doing that on the side while she's managing the accounts. And then she left, and I was so gutted. Like shit, so she went and worked for TUI, that is a travel company here
Mm.
in the UK. And then so that was like really gutting. And then she left, and then I was like, oh, what's the point? As I moved, I kind of took a step forward, and then
Mm.
it's like 3 steps back. So then I was like, right, and at that point I was like, I wanted to give up, and then I was like, right, let me just, I don't know what it is, it's just like I'm just gonna get up and just keep it going, and I just keep going. So I kept going, and then it started to pick up again, and then I hired Emily, and then she left after 4 months to work at Google, and I was like, oh, but then and that was sad. But Emily's been amazing because I mean Megan's great as well, and I still keep in touch with Megan, but Emily, like, because she was like kind of in a rough place with, like, she left where she lived in Devon, came to the UK and worked this like horrible company, and they were treating her badly. So I said, look, come, where do you want to do? Where do you want to go? She wants to work at Google. I said, right, just come with me, and then we'll make sure within a year you'll get there. And it took like 4 months. But she's very good with words, and she's really good with people, right? So like I could see why she kind of ended up there. She's the one that got me to Amazon. So we had that relationship. We kept in touch. I could have easily been, oh, you said you were going to give me a year. No, don't ever talk to me again. But like, I said, I was like, yeah, whatever you want, I'll give you a reference, whatever you need. And then like we kept in touch, and she got me into Amazon. She got me into DSP because at that point she went and worked at all that big ad agencies, and she told me what their gaps were. So I was able to get in early because of her. So I owe her quite a lot. So yeah, so she was great. So that was one of the big hurdles that we had. And then obviously I hired Tom, and Tom was phenomenal. And it's that one person. It's like when you find that first person, if it's the right person, then like that's when you can, I mean, 1 person to 2 people is the hardest, because 2 to 3 Tom can train the third person, but 1 to 2 it's like you're now trying to run the business whilst trying to teach this person you've just brought on, right? And like, so your time is really precious, and it's like really spent investing in that one person. So that's the hardest bit. It's like making sure you find it. And then one thing I've learned is don't hire friends and family. Like, don't do that. Like, don't do favors. Don't. Yeah. But yeah, that's one. I think that was one of the hurdles. And then in the 5th year, like, again, I was ready to kind of throw it in. Like, I was ready to put my kind of flag in, like the white flag down.
What year's your 5th year? Was that
2016.
2016.
Yeah. So at that time, what happened? At that time, we just weren't getting business in, and I had this mentor at church, like amazing man, and sadly passed away now, Andrew Moore, and he said, I said, Andrew, I'm ready to quit. I'm ready to leave. And he goes, okay. He said to me, let's give it 6 months, right? Give it your all in the next 6 months. Not only that, but go and apply for jobs and see what you can get, right? So I started applying for jobs, and I gave it my all in 6 months. And then like it just flew. And I was like, right, there's no way I can get this with any company I worked with. And then like, yeah, it's just, yeah, there's just no way I could do that. I'd rather just do this. And then I did it. And then what was crazy is my big goal was always to make 10 grand a month, right? Like growing up, like, and like this is just, some people are gonna laugh and go, oh yeah, George, like, especially like American friends, because that's like pennies to them, some of them. But like, but yeah, that was my goal. Right? And I remember one year I was just working hard, and I hit that goal, right? And then I had this insane euphoria, which lasted about 10 minutes, and then I came crashing down, and that crash lasted 5, maybe 6 months. I sacrificed friendships. Like I just like never responded to any of invitations from my friends. I sacrificed a life, my health. I was just eating so much bad food, everything for that. And I was working every hour of the day, and I was like, what's the point? At that point, I was like, I don't see why I've done all of this for that. Like it makes no difference. So at that point, I was like, right, let me actually just try and find a team or build a good team around me, and then like at that, and actually we can celebrate together, we can do things together. And then I just kind of, probably I like to call it like a midlife crisis, but I decided like just to travel the world and just like go everywhere I can as often as I can and make new friends. And I was like a brilliant year. But yeah, yeah, so that's kind of,
There's so much there. So when you hit that, like you said, you had that goal, and then you hit that goal, and you're like, okay, how do you recognize, or how did you recognize that you needed something to change? Like you've gone in down that path of, like you say, unhealthy habits.
yeah.
What was that pivotal moment that made you think, right, this is, I can no longer sustain this?
It's just like on a Friday night, right? Like, you know, best friends going out. Who do I call to go out? Like who am I going to hang out with? But there's no one, because it's like, yeah, because I spent most Friday nights just absolutely blazing it. I'm not the smartest person, but like if I put my mind to something, I could just become laser focused and just ignore everything. And a lot of people, they were quite respectful as well, because they're like, hey, he's working. Like just weddings, I missed so many weddings like I should not have missed, and I missed them. Like really, really bad, like really good, amazing people in my life, and I missed them. And I was just like, it's so bad. Like, yeah.
But do you think you needed to go through that to be able to get where you're at now?
Yeah. Yeah, because they say what do what most people won't do for 2 years, to then do what most people can't do for the rest of their life. I'm slower, so I needed 10 years for that. And then, but yeah, now I'm like, have an incredible team around me. Like, I'm not needed on the day to day. I'm able to take a nice stroll here to Liverpool Street to do this podcast with you, and like, yeah, I just got back from Morocco. I took my mum, so like I was able to go for a few days with my mum, just to because we got an event in a few weeks, and just test it out and like show her a bit of the world. So yeah, so there's benefits to it, but there's also like there's a real ugly side to it, and I think that's the side that like when you look at social media, it shows the flattering parts, but there's the real ugly side. There's especially when you have a team, like they trusted you to work for you, right? They could work at a bigger company. They're working with you. Not only them, like their income is reliant on you, and they have a family, and so even now, like the market isn't strong, right? Like it's like the Amazon space, like it used to be. Like it's harder to close any business now. Like, you know, there's like when we do an audit for an account, there's like 5 or 6 other companies we're doing audits for, and like half of them are like way lower in terms of price compared to us. So there's that burden. So I'm having to like, and there's sometimes I don't sleep because I'm like, I need to innovate. Like that's my job. I need to innovate, and I need to come up with something that is going to make us stand out from everyone else, so that we can still be positioned the way we have been positioned and continue to grow and continue to excite the team. And that's a massive, I think that's probably the biggest and hardest thing I still struggle with now. And it's funny because my head of operations, she's like, George, the team love it when you're around. You should be around more. And I said, Ariam, like, oh, we should speak to them. I said, unless I have something of substance to tell them, I don't want to just say words for the sake of saying words, right? I want to be like, hey, we're about to close this big project because I put my time and energy into, oh, we're going to move into this exciting new avenue. That's the kind of information I want to tell. I don't want to be like, hey, it's tough, but we're going to get through it, and keep saying that same message again and again, because at the end of it, those words don't have that much substance. Yeah.
I guess from what you're saying, and there seems to be that pattern there, is that you really do care about your team.
Yeah.
And them working for you. So like you mentioned about those sleepless nights of innovating, but I guess there's also those sleepless nights of just wanting to do right for the team that have backed you up.
Yeah, and then this last 8 months has been horrific because we've had to make a number of redundancies, and we used to have like a culture of, hey, it's a family feel, and everyone, out to look out for each other, but then just the numbers weren't adding up, and like something had to give, and every decision I was making, so I was having to make 1 or 2 big decisions every month or 2 months. So I was very heavy on like, right, I became ruthless with my sleep, right? Because I want to make sure I'm as sound of my judgment as possible, right? So I would get a full night's sleep, and if anyone asked me a big question to answer, I'll be like, if it's after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're not going to get the answer. I'm going to think about it and give it to you the next day. And there were moments where we've had to make 1 or 2 people redundant, and half the team were really upset, and the other team were like, yeah, that was the right decision. It's like, and there were a few moments where it's like you had to make that decision, and like someone's gonna hurt, someone's gonna be upset by it, but like knowing when to make the right decision, and that's been really tough in this last year. Every single person, it's been hard. Yeah.
The big decisions are tough, right? And the fact that that you need to be in the right mindset to be able to manage those big decisions is huge. Like the fact that you need a good night's sleep and actually doing them after 3. I mean, huge kudos to figuring that out, and not kind of being like, oh, well, I'll deal with that at midnight because there's so much on and hustling and that. When you're going to be at your best.
I think one of the biggest things that I'm really fortunate for is I got a business coach a few years back, and he basically taught me to only do the jobs that you need to do, right, and not do the jobs that you don't need to do. So I don't get involved in any account management and stuff now. Like, so if you ask me about PPC, like I can give you an answer, but it won't be like as polished as what my account managers would tell you, right? So. And that's served me quite well, because I do process slowly. Like, I don't process quick like some people do. So I need to really digest whatever I'm going to talk about. So having that freedom and that time and those gaps to just think and really like ask questions to myself and others around me that I really respect. So there's a few people I go to as well. It's like, oh, I got this big decision. If you were in my shoes, what would you do? Is there any areas I haven't thought of? This is everything I thought of. So then I ask a whole range of random people and say, okay, am I going crazy? I'm thinking this person has done this. Am I out of line here? And then that's been really good. So I'm always trying to think so my mum's been good at that. Like I speak to a few business people as well, and I have like my Christian mentor, like he's been amazing at it. And from time to time I'll speak to my business coach as well. Like having that wide net of people that I ask, and then I go, right, okay, here's what we're doing, and then make a decision.
I love that you have a network around you. Like you mentioned, your Christian mentor, your mum, your business coach and everything. Did you have that network before, or is that something you've realised you've needed over time?
You just build it over time, and it just needs to be like networking is incredible. I think people can go to networking events and try and find ways to generate new business, and that's really hard to do. When there's so many other people who do what you do, but like it's really good for just leveraging people's skills. Like there's going to be like skill sets that you just don't have. You never learn. You're never going to have the time to learn that other people have years of experience in. So why not tap into that? I think there's you can get caught up with arrogance sometimes with this stuff, and it's like I think for me, I just want everyone. I want to just have the smartest people around me, so I could just lean on their guidance and figure out. Because there's been some times I'm just like, I never thought about it like that. And actually, that's such a good point. And even like our HR lady we found, I don't even know how we found her. And yeah, but she's brilliant. Like anytime we have an HR issue, we speak to her, and because she's just outside of the situation, she just gives the best advice. Like we just hired the new fractional CFO, and oh my goodness, like the way she deals with numbers, like it's just like it gives you imposter syndrome. Like you think, why am I doing this? Like, and it's like so many things are wrong. I mean, I remember June on my birthday last year, I was like, this is bad. Like I was overspending like crazy. This is like really bad. And then like she helped put everything in check, and she's been great. Like, and it's just again, it's figuring out, okay, there's a problem, and who's the best person, and then just asking people. And then I mean, the more you're in business, the stronger your network gets, and then the more people you can kind of lean on and ask, well, who do you know that could help with certain situations and stuff.
How does it, you talk about sort of having those people around you in that imposter syndrome. Do you find that is because of those certain areas, or you also mentioned about sort of social media? So how do you find when you're in this state, like you're thinking, right, we're overspending, you're having to make redundancies, and then you go onto something like social media, and you've always got a few voices out there who make it out like everything is so easy and there's overnight successes. How does that make you feel?
I try and block it out, really. I don't know. Yeah, it's just you try and block them out. Like if there's anything that's unhelpful, I would just avoid it. And then there's a certain few people that I listen to like an amazing amount, because especially when people give actionable things to do, if they give action, if they're just talking about how great things are and they're not giving any substance as to how they've done it, then you've lost me already. If you're saying how great things are and you're giving ideas of how you did it, okay, then I'm going to try it out. And then if I try it out and it works, great. I have so much respect for you. I'm going to continue to follow you and stuff. Like Alex Hormozi's stuff has been like incredible for us. Like he's like, there's so many things I've taken away and just implemented that like I've seen firsthand, like impacts on the business and stuff. So it's just about figuring out what they say and kind of acting on it.
Yeah. And it sounds like you're someone that is willing to learn and listen from others, and it's like that no ego, right? You're prepared to have people, like you say, you process things a bit slower, that you want that time, but also having people around you that might be smarter at things, and that, which is fantastic, because that's how you grow, right?
And that's always been something I've tried to do. But and I've taken on a business partner, well, two now, and they're some of the greatest minds in the space, and like constantly seeing how they think about things and how quickly they can like come up with ideas. It's just, I mean, for a first month or 2 months, I was like, this is insane. It's exciting, but it's like, it makes you feel more like an imposter. Like it makes you feel more like, wow, there's so much more that I could be doing. And now that's the question I have, is like, we work in a certain way. How is everyone else working in the space? Because there's some quiet agencies out there that are doing exceptional stuff. And I've been speaking to one or two recently, and when I look at their LinkedIn, no posts, nothing, zero. And that's the people I really want to find, and I really want to speak to, and I want to pick their brains and understand how they think through certain like challenges and obstacles and stuff. So
yeah, definitely. You spoke earlier about redundancies, and I didn't sort of go into that in terms of your state of mind of dealing with that, because that's quite a lot of weight to have on your shoulders. How did you manage that?
Having a core group of people has been really helpful. So like really like sound people that can help. So head of operations, she's always been, she's my rock really, because she has to deal with this with the entire process. And I'm like, HR have always like recommended that I can't be involved in those processes. I mean, there's one young man I was involved in because I had such a history with him, so I really wanted to just be there, even though I wasn't allowed to say anything. I just wanted to be involved in the process. But having them to talk through things have been good. But then it's like, just I'm so blessed that I could just sleep, right? So if something can get really overwhelming, and I just have a good night's rest, wake up, is like, right, okay, how are we going to deal with it? So that's helped a lot. So yeah, so people has helped.
And is that because you've got healthy habits, or you just sleep really well?
I think there's a combination, but like I feel so sorry for those who struggle with insomnia. Like I don't know how. I mean, if I have 5 hours sleep or 6 hours sleep, it's a write-off. Like I'm gonna have to cancel any meetings of significance. Like that's just not happening. And I do like I'll try and get to bed for 9 p.m. every night, 9:30 p.m. And my partner, she struggles with that. Like, but I need to. And then I'm up 5, maybe 6 in the morning every morning, and then get started early. But that's every day. Like every day I'm doing that. I think that for me is helpful. So those patterns have really, really helped.
So do you have, you're quite disciplined. Do you have other sort of habits that you have in place just to make sure that you are sort of on your A game each day?
Yeah. So first, it's I work best in the mornings. Right. That's when I'm. It's just I don't know, just pure clarity. Right. Is my morning. So I try and start early. I get all of the heavy jobs done there. If there's something that needs to be really thought about, it needs to be processed, it needs to be reviewed, like give it to me in the mornings. And then like by 1 p.m, 2 p.m, I could do phone calls. I could do like internal phone calls and stuff, but like nothing important. That's the first thing. Another big hack that's been really, really helpful is having an exec assistant. So I've just hired an exec assistant. So she goes through all of my emails. She gets through everything that's not important. She's basically planning our event right now. She's doing most of the heavy lifting on that, which then frees me up to do the stuff that is going to make the biggest impact on the business. So that's been really helpful. Personally, for me, I don't eat until about 12 in the afternoon, maybe 1 in the afternoon, and it just makes it just intensifies the clarity. Because the moment you eat, you just kind of it's just like brain fog and stuff. And that, but yeah, so that's there are a few things I've done.
And so with that, do you mentioned about having a good sleep. Do you make sure that you make sure that you have a good sleep, and you also don't make big decisions after 3? Do you also have boundaries in terms of the hours that you are on and off in terms of working?
No. I should, but like, no, I go through seasons, right? So if I'm excited about something, I will just blaze at it, and I'll go every day. And you think I would have learned from my mistakes, and like in the past of like not spending as much time with people and stuff. But actually, no, I think when you love what you're doing, it's not work. Like, so I had this argument with my girlfriend because she was like, "Oh, when we go on holiday, are you gonna work?" And I was like, "Yeah," and she goes, "No, you should not. You shouldn't do that." And I was like, "Well, are you gonna read your book when we're on holiday?" She said, "Yeah." And I was like, "Right. So don't tell me not to work, because the fulfillment you get from reading that book is what I get." So like, even in the mornings, if I'm away, if I could spend 2-3 hours just working for a few things, I actually really enjoy it. And I think that's one big thing as well. It's like, I actually really enjoy what I'm doing. I love the idea that I can have an idea, I can then find someone who can help me make it to go to life. And it might mess up, but if it doesn't.
Has there been a time where you haven't enjoyed it?
Of course, yeah. There was a few evenings I was just like, why am I doing this? And I remember I was trying to get a mortgage, and like they ripped me apart. The underwriters were like, what is this? Like what? Why are you even applying for a mortgage? Your 3-year tax returns look horrific. And I was like, I've got a great deposit. And said, no, but this looks like, and I was like, what am I doing? And I remember it was like 6 o'clock in the evening, and I'm trying to do, had this campaign idea to write handwritten letters on like of the addresses to charities to try and get them on the Google ad grant program, right? And I'm just writing these letters, and it's like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I doing this? And at that moment, it was like Gary Vee helped me out so much, because like Gary Vee is like, yeah, just keep going, keep grinding. But it's yeah, I think when the dream is big, like you just keep going, and then even sometimes like when you're doing it again and again and again and again and again and again, and when you started, it's like even when your whole body's like, why are you even doing it? Because you've just been doing it, you just carry on doing it. And even when there's moments when you don't want to do it, you just end up doing it. It's just once you get that habit in place and once you get going, like, and having that special place. And I had that office. I mean, there's an office I had in Croydon, no windows. I didn't even know, is it raining outside? Is it sunny? I don't know, right? I mean, once I was like insane floods all around. I didn't even know. I was like, all right, like I didn't see sunlight for days and days, because like, I'll get in before the sun comes out, and then I'll be going home in the winter before the whilst the sunset. So yeah, I mean, there's been like real moments of just like, like, what am I doing? But I mean, you got the people behind me, like, people are relying on me, like that is regardless of. I mean, it's like asking a parent, do you ever feel like you want to give up, like, on your kids? It's like there's like they're still going, and they're still relying on me, and they're still working their asses off. So it's like I have a duty as well to just find a way of innovating and making sure that, okay, we might be good for the next year, 2 years, but how can we be good for the next 5 years, 10 years?
Definitely. And you do a lot of work for charity as well.
Yeah.
You've mentioned. How do you balance that when you're a business owner, and a lot of business owners are like, well, I want to get X amount of revenue, I want to be this millionaire, I want to do that. How do you balance kind of that drive to get to somewhere versus that part where actually I want to donate my time, invest my time in charities, but also make sure that things are fair, if that makes sense, when you're working for companies and you're growing their sales, but also there's that charitable piece.
I mean, I don't do the charity to, like, I feel I've been called to do the work that I do there, but the fulfillment you get from that charity, nothing else compares. Like, I mean, closing a major deal compared to changing that kid's world with the affirmation you've given them at that moment, or making them laugh, or seeing a breakthrough with someone, like, nothing compares to that. Like, yeah, there's nothing that compares. And actually, there's moments where you need that as well, because it brings everything into perspective. Like, we're struggling with making rich people richer. That's what we're in, the work that we're in, when actually there's so many other things that you can do outside of that. And actually, I've always used the company as a vehicle. I mean, one of the big reasons I set up the company was because I wanted to be able to help out as many of the camps in the summer as possible. And there's free camps run the entire for the whole of August. What company in their right mind would give me the whole month off and then holiday on top of that? No one. But now I still do it. Like, every year, I'm at least 2, maybe 3 weeks in the summer throughout the new year, and that's what it gives me, the opportunity to do that more. And that's kept me grounded as well. Like, doesn't let me get too caught up in the other things. And they're an amazing bunch of people that I help lead with as well. And actually, when I go to those settings, it reminds me of just how selfish I am sometimes. I was just like, oh my goodness, they just give their time. I'm like, I've already made them a cup of tea. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing anything else. So clean this room as well. Anyway, so they're so giving. And actually, I've been able to take some of those qualities into the business world, right? If you like, there's moments where, like, if there's people in the space that I really respect and are really good people, how can I just give to them without asking for anything in return? Actually, if you keep doing that with loads of people, without asking anything in return, like, it makes such a difference, and actually you stand out as well. So I don't know, like, I think the charity stuff, it grounds you so much.
yeah, completely. The grounding bit, as you say, is it puts things into perspective, right? When
Yeah.
you're getting frustrated with certain things in your business, and then you go to these charities, and the feeling that you get, as you say, from helping a child
Yeah.
versus closing a big deal
Yeah.
is so different.
I mean, even with the camps that we're doing now, we've got more young people going than we've ever had in the 16 years or 15 years I've been doing it now. Like it's crazy. Like and actually there's so much joy and encouragement to get there. And actually when things aren't going so well here or they're tough, actually that keeps me like inside. I'm still I'm really, really happy that's going well.
That's really interesting, because you mentioned earlier about that what gave you the fire in your belly was your mum believing in you, and then you talk about how you know those tough times knowing that the team are depending on you, but I guess you've also got that part where you've set up your business, which has given you that freedom to be able to do the charitable stuff as well.
Yeah.
So all kind of big motivators.
Yeah, and I think one thing people don't understand as well is like as the CEO, you think that they were on big bucks and stuff, and actually, there's times when I'm earning way less than every single person in the team because that's just kind of what you have to bear the brunt of that, right? And actually, you have to just assure everyone everything's going to be okay, everything's going to be fine. Actually, you're scrambling around trying to see, okay, how tight can I be with my budget now? How careful and prudent can I be with my money? Where can I get finance deals to sort out this next 2 months that we've got of these like sticky situations? And there's that to bear in mind as well. So yeah, like if you're going to come in if you're going to try and set up a company and you think it's just going to be incredibly profitable from the get-go, yeah, it's just not true. It's not true at all. And even if you even when there was a moment when we saw success, right? Like when actually we were growing really fast, just during the pandemic, during lockdown, actually it was quite overwhelming because the infrastructure, we didn't have that, right? And it's like there was still a lot of the team members that relied on me. So every account that came on, not only did I have every client speaking to me, but I had every account manager asking me questions. So there were like so many things being thrown at me because of it. And the trauma I got from that now is I never respond to messages now. Like I barely respond to any messages because during those times it was so overwhelming that I was getting so many messages again and again and again and again and again. And actually, so even if you see success, actually, there's pain there as well as when like it's harder.
100%. And this has been so inspiring, everything you've been talking about today, and hopefully for our listeners today. I always like to end things with a question of what tip would you give to your younger self?
Oh, I wish I went into America quicker. Wish I went into America quicker. But, when we went into Amazon ads, we were one of the first companies to do this, right? Like there was no one really advertising it, and we ran a Google ad campaign on it, right? And people were calling me up and they were saying, "We've been looking for someone like you for years," and that's how the conversation started, right? So it's like basically take my money, right? All I would have needed to do was clone that campaign, change the location settings from the UK to the US, and we could have been so much bigger as an agency right now. And then, so the founder of Takeometrics, Alistair, he basically, we were working with him. I think they saw an article we wrote, and they gave us an account, and we're like, we can't believe people made that money, that kind of money on Amazon. Like the amount that they were making per month just through ad sales was more than any brand that we were managing doing in a year. And if we got in at that time, we would have cleaned up. So I mean, just knowing the marketplaces and just experimenting and getting out of your comfort zone. And actually, now we live in such a global world, and it's like you have to think outside of the UK, or you have to think outside of like the small little territories that you're in, because the possibilities is like just endless. Like having a virtual store is like you have a front door to the world.
Yeah. And do you believe in things happen for a reason?
To an extent, I think, like if there's a 1 in 10 chance that something's going to work, and then you do 10 things, the odds are just stack in your favor, don't they? And I think that's the thing. Like, oh yeah, people were lucky. Oh, George, you got into Amazon so early. It worked. Yeah, well, what you didn't know is I got into LinkedIn ad, flopped. Facebook ads, flopped. TikTok ads, flopped. Expedia ads, flopped. TripAdvisor ads, flopped. All of these areas, they failed. But like, obviously, I'm not going to talk about them. Like, oh yeah, I've done this and it failed. Because it failed. It's like, right, let's move on. And actually, I think sometimes it comes down to grit as well. It's like when you fail, are you just going to carry on? Are you going to move on to the next thing? Are you going to just like dwell on the fact that failed and so on? I'm like, right, even now it's like, okay, yeah, Amazon stuff is stagnant and actually we're seeing some growth, but nowhere near what we saw in the past. Okay, what can I do next? Like, what is there? We tried TikTok, flopped. Like, I think it was the wrong time. I mean, people were receptive to it, but when it came to closing the deal, like, no one actually paid and signed up. Is that right? It flopped. And then, okay, right, Amazon full service. People are signing up for that. Right, let's just put our resources into that because it's showing a clear return on investment. So let's go into that. And I think that's the thing. So things do happen for a reason. And I think this is one thing I always say to people. It's like, I think you have 2 or 3 big opportunities in business in a span of 10 years, right? And I remember there was one account, right? They were spending a crazy amount on advertising. And then like the owner talked to me and I just didn't close the deal. And I was like, that's one of my big opportunities that I missed out on. I think another big one is like Matt, my business partner, like, I mean, it was like, I was at the event and he was telling me just how hard things are going to get. I was just miserable. And I went and I sat down next to him. I was at the Prosper show. And it was a moment I just said, I'm just going to ask this question and I'm probably going to get like told, why on earth would I ever do that? And I said, would you ever consider coming on board with us? And he's at an agency that does like 8 figures a year compared to us, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, yeah, sure. And sometimes it's asking those big, bold questions as well. So it's like, fate can, yeah, but fate to an extent, but you need to sometimes think so big to make those changes. Like, and I'm like, if he didn't come on, I think we would be such a small company. I don't know if we'll be around now. I don't know. Like, I really don't know, because it's like, yeah. So there's just areas like that like you have to really think about.
Thanks, George. I've absolutely loved talking with you today, and congratulations for the success of your company, but also the fact that it enables you to do work not only for helping businesses, giving people jobs, being able to do the charity work that you do as well. So thank you so much. I'm truly inspired by our conversation, and hopefully our listeners are too. And thank you everyone for listening today, and thank you for being an awesome guest.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Love this episode? Don't miss out. Hit subscribe on our YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Instagram as we continue to keep it real.